A person's life is often like that, said the Taoist monk, and he picked up the pillow, put it in his bag, and said goodbye. Many years ago, visiting Beijing, I went to the Panjuan market, where I walked past stalls of carved furniture, coins, jewels, to the porcelain stalls. And there I found an elderly gentleman selling what I thought looked like porcelain boxes. His son, who spoke good English, explained that what he was holding was a dream pillow. A dream pillow, I inquired. And then he told me a story. You see, once there was a traveller called Lu, who walked from place to place with nothing but the clothes on his back and a few small belongings in a cloth bag. One day he arrived at an inn, and there he met an innkeeper, who invited him in and went off to the kitchen to make a meal of yellow millet. At the main table was an elderly gentleman, a Taoist monk. Lu sat near the monk and got talking. He told the monk about all his troubles in life, how he'd been unable to get a job, he'd failed his civil service exams, he didn't have a wife or anyone who loved him, he didn't have a home to go back to, and he was miserable. He went on and on and on. The Taoist monk smiled. Then, reaching into his bag, he pulled out a Chinese porcelain pillow. One of those old-fashioned ones, the ones with holes in the sides. And Lu took the pillow. Here, rest your head on this, he said to Lu. And Lu, putting down his head on the pillow, immediately fell fast asleep. And then Lu found himself walking through the pillow, through the holes to the other side. And then he went to sit his civil service exams. And this time he passed with flying colours. He went to meet the emperor, and he got a job in the army. He became a general in the army and fought many wars, leading them to win. And then he met a beautiful woman from a very wealthy family, and he settled down, got married, and was very happy. He continued working for the emperor until one day someone accused him of stealing from the treasury, and Lu was thrown in prison. Lu sat in his small prison cell, looking up to the bars across the window. He couldn't even see out, because even standing on tiptoe, couldn't see it out to the sunshine. Lu sat in the corner of his prison cell and wept. He thought back to the days of when he was just a simple traveller, going from one place to another with nothing but the clothes on his back and a few small belongings in a cloth bag. And he began to wish that he could go back to those times. It wasn't long after that when it was discovered that there had been a miscarriage of justice, and Lu was released. Lu went back and joined his family. His wife and children were overjoyed to see him. In time, Lu had grandchildren. And one day, he even had a great-grandchild. By now, Lu was getting old and sick, getting very frail. His family gathered round him as he lay on his bed, old and dying. His young grandson sat on his belly and played with him, but Lu was too old and too frail to even recognize him, and he closed his eyes and he died. Just then, there was a flash of light, and Lu sat up. He found himself still in the inn. opposite him was the Taoist monk. Puzzled, Lou turned to the monk and said, "Is it true that I could have slept and dreamt so much?" "A person's life is often like that," said the Taoist monk, and he picked up the pillow, put it in his bag, and said goodbye. Lou sat at the table and pondered for a while, and then, after eating a bowl of yellow millet that the innkeeper has prepared, Lou left. And as he travelled to the next place, he thought about how lucky he was, even with a few possessions. The simple life, travelling from one place to another, and he never complained after that again. Now, when the young man finished telling me the story, I promptly bought the pillow, and it's been with me ever since.